and we're going to be live right now. I was going to say 3, 2, 1, but we're actually live right now, so.
Sup, guys?
Hi, guys. This is podcast number 15. Quince. I'm actually learning Spanish right now, so I like it. Dre, keep doing it. Dre, why'd you roll your eyes? It's like so insulting.
Because you're being sassy.
Oh my god. So we just got back from the gym and we just wanted to share some spooky stories with you guys today.
Yes.
So Dre has a really good one.
Well, I haven't read it yet, but I'm hoping it's a good one.
Oh my god.
It's going to be a good one, guys.
Okay.
Don't be worried.
If it's not good, everybody blame Andrea. Hi, Steven.
Steven, what's up, man? Alright, so I am reading from Ghost Stories of New England. Dum. And the one that I chose is called the Hoosac Railroad Tunnel. The picture's pretty creepy. I don't know if you could see it. But that's like the picture of the railroad tunnel. And it took place in Berkshire, Massachusetts. Not too far from here, maybe like 3 hours. Alright, so impressive and remote, the Berkshire Mountains dominate the rugged lands of northwestern Massachusetts. The hills are part of an area that have been haunted for centuries. It would be safe to say that ghost stories are commonplace here. Many tales are told of spirits in the forests, of voices and have no source, and of unfortunate souls who have wandered into the woods, never to be seen again. Of all the stories, perhaps the most chilling was the tale of the Hoosac Tunnel near North Adams in Deerfield Valley. Underneath the Berkshires run 4.8 miles of railroad, tunnel that still ranks as one of the great engineering feats of the 19th century. Conceived in 1819, the Hoosac Tunnel runs from North Adams to Florida, Massachusetts.
Florida, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
That's a town, apparently. Florida, Massachusetts.
It cost more than $21 million in 1870 dollars and took 22 years to complete. Damn. It also earned the graphic nickname the Bloody Pit. All right.
Wow. Wait. It cost $21 million to make this entire railroad.
Yes.
Okay.
$1870.
1870. So what is that in 2021?
I don't know. But I'm sure that was a ton of money then.
That's a lot.
Wow.
Okay.
For the 196 lives lost during construction, the victims died in fires, explosions, tunnel collapses, and in one case, at the hand of another worker. This cold-blooded murderer who would give the tunnel its reputation for ghosts. Local legend has it that some of the deceased souls haunt the tunnel to this day. Workers on the tunnel used the newest tools of the day. In 1853, one of the first tunnel boring machines ground 10 feet into Hoosac Mountain and died, never to run again. It sat there for years as a reminder of engineering failure. Blasting through 5 miles of solid rock was grim business. When construction began in 1851, workers used gunpowder to break up the rock. Progress inched along slowly because each blast only removed a few feet of rock. Then in 1866, the Hoosac Tunnel saw the first commercial use of the explosive nitroglycerin, a very powerful and extremely unstable explosive. 500,000 pounds of nitroglycerin were used to blast through the mountain and cut the central shaft. Workers blasted faster than ever, but not without risk. Many of the 196 lives were lost due to the instability of the extremely combustible substance. Damn. No safe way of doing it. On March 20th, 1865, explosive expert Ned Brinkman, Billy Nash, and Ringo Kelly laid a large nitro charge. They were about to run back to the safety bunker when Kelly ignited the charge prematurely. He walked away unscratched, but Nash and Brinkman died under tons of blasted rock. Wow. The ghosts of 2 workers, however, haunted Kelly until his dying day. As the story goes, 1 year after the deadly blast, to the day, Kelly was found strangled to death on the exact spot where his comrades had been killed. Deputy Sheriff Charles F. Gibson estimated that he had been murdered between midnight and 3:30 a.m. that morning.
Wait, so he was murdered where
he killed the other two guys at the same spot.
Oh, and they're saying that's possibly a paranormal thing. Like the ghost
because it was a year to the day of when the other guys died.
Oh my god, that's so creepy.
Yep.
And like the ghost came back and they were like, your turn.
You killed us, now we kill you.
Oh my god, what?
Karma, son.
I want to go. I wonder if this place says we're able to go.
Alright, we'll look that up later. The death was thoroughly investigated, but no suspects were ever found, and the crime went unsolved. Some of the tunnel workers felt sure that Kelly died at the ghost hands of his vengeful partners. After Kelly's death, talk of ghosts and spirits grew. Some complained of hearing a man's voice cry out in agony. The situation worsened until many of the construction crew refused to enter the dark, foreboding tunnel after sundown. Work slowed down so much on the project that the construction company sent for help. Paul Travers, a mechanical engineer and a respected cavalry officer during the Civil War, received a letter asking him to come and examine the tunnel. Travers and company official explored 2 miles into the unfinished shaft. Much to the former officer's surprise, he heard what sounded like the voice of someone in pain. Even his companion agreed that it was not just the wind howling. Just a few weeks after Travers' investigation, the worst accident in the tunnel's history occurred. On October 17, 1868, 13 miners died when a gas explosion on the surface blew apart the water pumping station. Debris filled the central tunnel where the workers had been toiling. Efforts to rescue survivors failed. Without the pumping station, the 500-foot shaft soon filled with water and bodies floated to the... Wow. So they just freaking drowned in the tunnel. Wow. It took a year to recover all those who died. Alright. Ghostly activity peaked during the period when the miners were missing. A local reporter wrote that villagers told the strange tales of vague shapes and muffled wails near the water-filled pit. Workmen claimed to see the lost miners carrying picks and shovels through a shroud of mist and snow on the mountaintop. Glenn Drowan wrote, the ghostly apparitions would appear briefly, then vanish, leaving no footprints in the snow, giving no answer to the miners' calls. The bizarre visitations ceased as soon as the last of the bodies were buried. Although these dead men had apparently found rest, some victims of the bloody pit remained to torture the living. Even after the apparitions disappeared, the eerie wailing in the tunnel continued. 4 years after the tragedy, another pair of company supervisors arrived at the tunnel. They were to inspect it and possibly search for the notorious ghosts. They weren't disappointed. Armed with only a pair of dim lanterns, the two men resolutely
I'm not sure what that word is.
Okay. Walked deep into the cavern. They stood talking when they suddenly noticed a bluish light approaching. At first they assumed it was a worker with a lamp, but as it came nearer, the light morphed into a semi-human form, only it had no head. Dope. The light bobbed forward until it hovered only a few feet from the terrified men, when it continued eastward and vanished. Neither of the men were prone to fantasy or superstition, yet the event made them believers. In the years that followed, scary encounters continued to occur. On an occasion, a hunter was found roaming the woods. Battered and incoherent, he told of hearing voices that instructed him to enter the Hoosac Tunnel. Upon entering, he would be confronted by several ghostly apparitions. Others in the area have reported seeing lights, hearing voices, and noticing shapes moving in the tunnel and neighboring woods. Even today, there are reports of ghostly activity in the tunnel. A group of ghost hunters ventured into the tunnel in December 2001. All right. Their experiences convinced them that the area is definitely haunted. 2 members of the party heard what they described as a wet, fleshy-sounding thump, like the sound of a body landing on the tracks. While exploring the area outside, 2 others thought they saw a member of their group, only to discover he had been investigating somewhere else. They felt sure they had spotted the ghost of one of the dead tunnel diggers. For those who were curious, venturing into the tunnel is risky. The Boston and Maine Railway still runs freight trains through it on a regular basis, and given the number of sightings and stories, caution is in order. After all, the name Hoosac is from the Mohawk language and means forbidden. Perhaps this fact is worth keeping in mind.
Wow, so the actual trail is called the Forbidden Trail.
Forbidden Tunnel, yeah.
Or the Forbidden Tunnel. Oh, wow, that has so much history.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy that all those people drowned in the tunnel. I wasn't expecting that one.
Yeah, so that's crazy. Just because of, like, an error.
Yeah. I mean, I've always, like, anytime I've ever heard anything with, like, tunnels or miners, it has to be, like, top, most dangerous jobs anybody could ever do. But that's pretty crazy. Entertaining.
What do you mean entertaining? Do you want to go?
No, like, I mean, yeah. I mean, if we can. But technically, no, because it has, like, trains running, like, regularly. So we'd have to, like, be very cautious of everything.
Be cautious.
But I'm sure that we don't have to go into the tunnel in order to encounter something if it's as, like, haunted as they say it is.
I don't know why, but that sounds a lot like the horror movie My Bloody Valentine.
I never saw that one.
You've never seen that? I don't know if it's exactly like it because I saw that movie forever ago, but it has a lot to do with, like, My Bloody Valentine. I think he was, like, a murderer. I forgot the history, but basically on Valentine's Day this would happen, and a lot of people would be murdered, and it had something to do with a mine and everything. And for some reason, mines always have, like, really dark histories.
Yeah.
You said that someone in your family, I think your uncle or somebody or your cousin, is a mine worker in Peru.
Oh yeah, my aunt's boyfriend works in mines.
Your aunt's boyfriend.
Yeah.
And he has a bunch of stories, right?
Yeah, he does.
He actually has some really cool ones. Do you mind sharing, like, one really quick?
I don't remember them though.
Okay, I'll help you kind of remember.
I think one that I remember is that they saw, like, what do you call like the little tiny things that people put in front of their yards?
Gnomes.
Yeah. Okay, so he said that they would see, like, gnomes, like little tiny creatures running around with, like, the thing on their heads, and that if they did see him, it would be, like, a bad sign, and, like, weird things would happen after the sightings of them. But you could, like, hear them, kind of like what they're talking about in the story that I just read, where they can, like, hear, like, ghostly noises and voices when they, like, go in, kind of like that, where, like, maybe you couldn't see it in the moment, but you could, like, hear it, like, running around, like, scurrying away, like, in the dark or whatever. I kind of remember that, but yeah, it's pretty creepy. I would not work at a mine.
Yeah, no, I don't think I ever would either.
No.
Yeah. You said
I think I'm okay.
I remember you said he was, like, going up like a trail or, like, a cliff, and he saw some stuff. I don't know. Anybody I've met who has history in, like, mining, they have, like, some
shit goes down.
They have stories for sure. So that's crazy. I don't know. I've been in some. I was in one when I was in Virginia. I visited a mine, and they did say that there were spirits and everything. Did I see any spirits or anything? No. But it definitely, like, it has a cold, dark feeling. Although, it is a mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that makes sense. But, oh yeah, so, Dre, we're actually in my room right now. Like, right there behind me is where I saw that, like, light being. There was, like, a light being when I was trying to go to sleep. And it was right there. But it was like a nice being. I don't think it was like a bad
It had
one.
happy vibes. Positive vibes.
It was positive.
Here to hang out. But for good things.
So, I'm just flipping through this book really quick. You know it's so crazy? Oh, you know it's really scary as well, too? Stories about, like, auditoriums or empty auditoriums.
Oh, like yeah. Like
empty
big
theaters,
haunted
they're
buildings.
so scary. Like, they're so empty. They have so much history. It's usually a ghost or a spirit who's like, who was a star, who wanted to be a star, came back because they wanted to be a star. And just some of them are like stuck in the star. We have one over here in Bridgeport, and I believe we're in Fairfield, and I believe that one is right here.
Like an auditorium?
An opera house.
Oh, an opera house.
Empty opera house. So I have a quick story for you guys. Again, I haven't read it yet. So we're all going to find out what happened here. But this is Aunt Lannie's ghost. This is near Foster, Rhode Island. On Tucker Hollow Road, not far from Rhode Island's old Ramtail factory, Aunt Lannie Davis can send a cold chill up the spine of an unsuspecting traveler. Those out for a stroll may feel an icy breath on the back of their neck, a little reminder that Aunt Lannie still haunts these parts. That's creepy, to feel like an ice cold thing. That's actually something that I did feel before. That's when I stayed at the Lazy Borden house. I actually felt a really cold spot next to me, and they say that when a spirit is next to you, you do feel a really cold area. And that's when a psychic looked at me and was like, there's a ghost right next to you. And I was like, what? Because I didn't see anything. And she was like, oh, he thinks that you're his lover. And I was like, what? But it was really cold, and if you went anywhere else, it wasn't cold. So it was so strange. That's always a sign. If anybody was curious, or how do you know a ghost is next to you? They say that it gets really cold. So just keep an eye out for that. But it's also turning into winter season, fall season.
Everyone's just like, fuck.
So if it ends up being extremely cold everywhere, it's not just because there's ghosts everywhere. This is normal, I promise.
A little bit normal.
So to continue, Lannie, also called Lonnie in some stories, was a, what is that word? Recluse who became a societal pariah because of fears that she was a witch. She swore on her deathbed that her spirit would seek revenge for the injustices she suffered during her lifetime. She cursed the community, saying that she would haunt the house where she lived for as long as one board was nailed to another. Aunt Lannie remained true to her word. After her death, she made her presence known tangibly, though not visibly. In life, Aunt Lannie had a nasty penchant for breathing on the backs of people's necks.
No.
No, you wouldn't be able to handle that.
No, I would not be cool with that at all.
Oh, okay. Well, she knows how to mess with people, I guess. Visitors to the house took to wearing scarves because nothing could dispel the sudden cold chill that would rush down their collars. With little recourse, the neighbors pulled the house apart, board by board, taking every nail from the wood, but the site survives as the ghost lot. The ghost lot.
That is not cool.
Yeah, I mean, they do say that, like, the land can be haunted.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for instance, like, my parents' house up north is brand new. Nobody has ever lived in the house before us. And yet, for some reason, we've had
so many weird things.
3 different ghost instances. and I've had like weird feelings, but especially one where my father, this happened twice just recently.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Where my father saw something and then my stepmother saw something. Both were pretending to look like me and the other one to look like my little brother. So guys, just a reminder to say for what happened. This was a brand new house. This is why we're thinking maybe it was the land or something.
Yeah, something must have happened on it.
My dad was just going to sleep one night, and I was staying there because I was healing from an injury that I had for about a month or two. And that's when he told me the day after it was so strange, he said. And I was like, what happened? And he said, there was, I could have sworn your brother, his name is Zach, I could have sworn Zach came into the room last night and just stood there. And then he kept on saying, Zach, what are you doing? Because it's about 11, 12, 1 a.m. And then my brother, Zach, wasn't answering. And then what Zach did next was go to pet my cat that was right there, or one of the cats in the house. And my dad just keeps on going, Zach, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You should be sleeping. Go to bed. And he's not answering. And then the strange thing is, after talking to this being walks away from the cat and then goes towards the hallway and then just disappears, almost like vanishing into the wall or something. And my dad said it was the weirdest, creepiest thing.
No.
And then on top of that, this actually happened maybe a few months ago, or about a year ago, less than a year ago. My stepmother texted me one day and was like, are you here? And I was like, no, I'm not here. I stayed at a friend's house. And so she expected me to be there. I lived there for about a month because I was in the transition of moving. And she goes, I could have sworn I saw you. She said there was somebody in the hallway that looked exactly like you. And she said she was like, she could have sworn it was me. And I was like, I definitely wasn't there. So I don't know what it is.
Sorry. No, but that hall always gives me weird vibes. Especially like the room that you were staying in while you were there.
But it doesn't make sense. It's a brand new house.
So it's gotta be the land.
I mean, the land before that was a junkyard. It was a junkyard before. So maybe something happened where...
Yeah, maybe some sketchy stuff went down in that junkyard.
Oh my god, do you think, like murders or something back then? I mean, the world is very old, so you never know.
Well, I mean, I think because the encounters weren't like they're creepy because it's just like something there, but not like, but like it didn't try to do anything like evil or anything. So I would say it's probably not murder, but maybe just like, I don't know, something. It had to be something.
It's gotta be something. I mean, yeah. My step-grandfather lived downstairs in the in-law apartment. And then he actually ended up passing away. But not instantly. So we lived in the house brand new, you know.
Wait, but did it start happening after he passed away? Before he passed away?
Well, even before.
Oh,
like,
before, okay.
Me and my friend visited, we didn't visit. We went back to my house, and we were filming each other on our phones, playing around. It was when we were about, 15, 16 or something. We were filming each other on our phones, and that's when we saw a bunch of orbs in the video around me, and we saw no orbs around him, and we were sitting right next to each other. So it wasn't lighting, it wasn't anything. We tried to, and that was right after staying at a haunted bed and breakfast.
Interesting.
I don't know what it is. They're like super sensitive. Like, I feel like I'm sensitive to it. I feel like if you're just open to it, they'll use you as a channel. Like if I ever go out ghost hunting, we always say, can you say somebody's name? There's like 8-10 of us. Instantly, the first person's name that they say is Brittany.
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool because it's like, because of your experiences, you have like set like, okay, this isn't just like fake, phony stuff. Like it's legit. There's some kind of legit level to it.
Wow. Okay. I have a really spooky. I'm just kind of skimming this story really quick.
Oh god.
And I really want to read this for you guys.
Okay.
Because it actually says that it took place on October 31,
Ooh.
1904. So this is a long time ago. But tis the season. October 31st.
Merry October.
Is right around the corner. So we might as well celebrate with a good story. So this story is called The Ghost of Eva Grey. And for some reason, I feel like I've heard this name before.
I have not.
You haven't? I feel like I have. But it says, The Ghost of Eva Grey, an actress who died unexpectedly after a performance, haunts the Opera House in Bideford, Maine. Opera houses and phantoms are almost inseparable, and not just in the fictional prose of Gaston Leroux. Is that how you say the name?
Yeah.
In Bedford, Maine, many famous celebrities have graced the stage of the Opera House, from Mae West and Fred Astaire. Astaire to the cigar-chomping W.C. Fields. But none has left such a lasting impression as Eva Grey. Nearly a century after her tragic death, she still materializes now and then, whispering in ears of directors and swinging up the rigging.
Swinging up in the rigging?
Rigging? That must be a thing for the Opera House. Bedford flourished along the banks of Saco River, about 90 miles north of Boston. The town was an early New England industrial center, capitalizing on the energy provided by the river's waterfalls. To meet the entertainment needs of a growing population, land was purchased at the corner of Adams and Main Streets in 1840. 20 years later, the Opera House stood completed. Wow, it took 20 years to build it. It must be really beautiful. The original stage was much wider than it is today, and the seats were made of hardwood. On the eve of the Civil War, the Opera House opened its doors for its first production, a show about slavery. Wow. From 1860 to 1894, production starred such luminaries as Edwin Booth, Joseph Jefferson, and Pat Rooney. On December 30th, 1894, a fire destroyed the building. 1 week later, the townsfolk decided to rebuild on the original site. 13 months later, on January 20th, 1896, the rebuilt Opera House opened. Eva Grey found herself on the Bedford stage at the beginning of the 20th century. Charles L. Butler, Jr. of the Bedford Historical Society graciously provided me with the details of Eva's life and death. In 1904, the Dot Carroll Company was performing at the Opera House. Eva Grey, the New Yorker, raised in a family of
Thespians.
Mm-hmm. Belonged to the troupe. What's thespians?
You're putting on the spot.
You sounded confident, so.
I mean, I know the word. Thespians. I think it's like art people.
She was a mother with a young daughter who lived with her brother in Albany, New York. Eva was hired as an illustrated song singer, a part that no longer exists. During scene and set changes, Eva went on stage and sang in front of magic lantern projections. Pictures on the screen behind Eva illustrated the words of the song she was singing at the time.
Thespian, relating to drama and the theater. An actor or actress. So yeah, arts.
Oh, okay, so she came from the arts.
Mm-hmm.
She had a history in it.
Her family were actors and actresses.
Sometimes the words themselves would be projected so the audience could sing along. The short performance diverted attention away from the noise on stage as set pieces were moved into place for the next act. On October 31st, 1904, so exactly almost 100 years, so 97 years later, Eva stepped on stage for the last time. It is said her daughter was in the audience that night. There was nothing to indicate anything might be wrong. In fact, the audience showed its appreciation with loud and lasting applause. Then, Eva launched into her rendition of Goodbye, Little Girl, Goodbye. The song's title suggests a sentimental ballad, but it was actually a rousing wartime ditty, complete with trumpet calls. It was a popular choice with the turn of the century crowd, writing of the audience's approval. Eva sang a glorious, powerful version and received the enthusiastic curtain call. After she sang the song a second time, the magic lantern projectionist put the words on the screen to facilitate audience participation. That prompted a third curtain call. But backstage, Eva had fallen ill. The stage manager asked her to go out again, but she refused and then collapsed.
Oh.
The unconscious woman was carried to Doc Carroll's dressing rooms. Theater staff summoned a doctor. The company barely carried on with the show.
Bravely carried on.
I was like, what? I don't know how I got into this story. I'm sorry. I was like, that doesn't make sense. Okay. The company bravely carried on with the show. But when the performers rushed backstage after the final curtain fell, they heard the tragic news. Eva had apparently died of heart failure before the physician arrived. Now called City Theater, the Opera House continues to function as a central community theater. Wow, it's still open.
That's pretty dope.
Over the years, it has undergone several facelifts and renovations, but the staff still acknowledge Eva. She is even listed as one of the interesting facts as the theater's website. Wow. On the theater's website. As Eva has not lost her love of music, when the auditorium is deserted, many performers have been startled to hear the piano sound a single note. Whoa, that gives me chills. Ding. I can't imagine that. Ugh. I would freak out. I'm sorry. I think I would book it. I would leave.
Like,
I would definitely leave. There are stories that Eva appears as a vague reflection in the dressing room mirror. No, I can't do it. I can't do it.
I would be so out.
City Theater's business manager, Renee O'Neill, says there are lots of little things that happen. Not many are blatantly ghostly, but some lead Renee to suspect that a couple of spirits still roam around the old building. Renee's connection to the theater goes back to 1976, when she was in 8th grade and participated in various dance performances. Partly because her father was a city councilor, she played an increasingly important role in the theater's operations. Among other things, she and dozens of other volunteers cleaned up the building after it fell into despair. It had gotten so bad that a former mayor used to dump sand on the stage and play horseshoes during his lunch hour. Wow. Recalls Renee. During her years at the old opera house, Renee has heard of personally experienced a few chilling moments. Since I have been involved, I've heard people say there's a presence here. It feels like someone is behind you, watching you, says Renee. It's not negative and there's no danger, but people feel the hairs on their back of their neck go up and suddenly feel very cold. Renee, of course, realizes this experience is not unusual.
It's pretty creepy. Oh, puppy. Old drafty theater. But something that happened in the early 1980s was not as easy to rationalize. Technician Ray Dion was working on stage when he looked up and saw someone sitting in the balcony. He waved and went back to work. Then he suddenly realized that all the doors leading to the balcony were closed and locked. Ray quickly looked again, but the figure had vanished. According to Renee, Ray said the figure looked like a man. Then there are the voices. Bill Cook was cooking backstage once when he heard a voice that sounded like the director. He came running out but saw only an empty stage. Paul McGee, husband of artistic director Janet Ross, discredited the stories until he also heard whispering. He had gone up into the space above the stage to check on some cables. The attic spans the ceiling and crosses over to the light booth. While up there, Paul distinctly heard whispering. At first, he thought it was steam from radiators, but as he went down the ladder to the light booth, the whispering continued. It unnerved him because there were no radiators nearby. More remarkably, he was climbing down a ladder in a narrow space where no one could stand near him. On another occasion, Paul arrived in Renee's office looking pale and shaken. He really looked like he'd seen a ghost. Laughs the business manager. Paul said he had been standing on stage working when he felt the hair on his neck bristle. Not once, but 5 times. He rushed off after the last time, completely unsettled. During a production rehearsal, several people gathered on stage to discuss the lighting. Suddenly, someone pointed to a... Oh, God.
I'm so sorry. I did not mean to scare you.
She totally came up behind me intentionally, guys.
I'm sorry. I did not mean to scare you.
That was like... During the production...
Honestly, I just had to run out for a second because I had a phone call. But
you were not excused.
It was actually really creepy when I went back there.
Why?
I don't know. It just felt like someone was there.
Back where? Over there?
Yeah.
Guys, this is going to be our last podcast as we will no longer be alive after tonight. No, just kidding. You chose like the longest story, by the way.
It creeps me out.
It is really creepy. So during a production rehearsal, several people gathered on stage to discuss the lighting. Suddenly, someone pointed to a ladder propped up the side wall. Everyone watched in amazement while the ladder shook as if someone were going up and down it. The shaking lasted for several minutes, and no one could offer any explanation for what might have caused it. Since the disturbances never involved actors or audience, many people think it may be the spirit of a man named Mr. Murphy, says Renee. Murphy worked at the Opera House during the 1930s and 40s as a manager and projectionist. Renee thinks Mr. Murphy is still going about his daily business. As for Eva Grey, many people are certain her spirit exists. In the early 1990s, Debbie Lombard taught dance classes for children. Both she and her students experienced Eva's presence. Debbie claimed to hear someone singing in a soprano voice in her ear. Many of the kids, moreover, felt someone hugging them.
No.
I thought that was like a thing that like you can't feel them. I thought that was like where the line is crossed.
No, I definitely felt something before.
Really?
Twice.
I would freak out.
Once when someone something kissed me on the cheek.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other time was when I was in the 1800s haunted house, and like something in the middle of the night woke me up and just touched me, like on the back of my neck. And I knew it wasn't my hair. Like my hair was up, so it didn't move.
I see what you're saying.
And then, yeah, it just didn't feel like hair. Like something wasn't normal about it.
Damn. All right. I don't even remember where we are. Many of the kids were felt someone hugging them. I truly believe that she felt and saw things, says Renee, but I have never had the pleasure myself. Eva appears to enjoy moving things to the rhythm of whatever music is playing. Her spirit is believed to cause the swaying of the heavy stage curtains and overhead light rigging. Renee describes a trough of bulbs that hangs on a metal frame above stage, encompassing its entire width. There would be times when it would swing back and forth like crazy. No one could figure out what caused it, but it happened regularly. Once it gets going, momentum would keep it going, but how did it start moving in the first place? Wow. In addition to the sounds and unusual activity, a few people have seen unexplained lights moving through the theater. Bill Cook, the man who heard the voices, also claimed he watched a light travel across the wall, the balcony area. The light resembled that given off by cars at night, yet the balcony sits at least 3 floors up from the street. So no freaking way. Paul McGee also observed the light one day when he was coming down from the balcony. The glow swung quickly into the ladies' room. One of Renee's own experiences gave her a distinctly creepy feeling. We have props stored in the basement. I was looking for a specific pair of eyeglasses that were in a bin down there. She recalls walking in the area past a desk that had nothing on it. Renee dug through the bin and could not locate the glasses. I said to myself, geez, I really need these glasses. When I walked back out, an eyeglass case was sitting on a desk. With trembling fingers, she pried the case open. I knew as I opened it that it would be the right ones. She can't explain how it happened, but Renee acknowledges that some things are beyond rational explanation. Although Eva's spirit has been dormant for some time, people continue to feel they are being watched. Renee's advice is simple. If you feel uncomfortable, state it out loud. You're creeping me out. Please leave me alone right now. She says that seems to put everyone, both the living and the dead, at rest.
I never want to go to a mine place or an
opera
house. Or an opera house.
That is pretty wild. I think I would freak out at the hugging and the seeing the reflection.
But yeah, seeing the reflection, I'm done. Just hearing music when there's nobody there.
I mean, that's pretty creepy, but you can, like, run away. But if you, like, see someone right next to you, it's like...
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no. That's no joke.
What do you guys think? Let us know. And thank you for joining us for podcast number 15.
Yes. And thank you to all our new members here on our Facebook group. You guys are awesome, and I hope you guys are, like, really enjoying the content so far. Again, like we always like to encourage, if you guys have scary stories you want to share, like, please let us know. We would love to share them. Maybe like live, or if you just want to like send us the little story snippet, whatever, that'd be amazing. And now that it's officially going to be October soon, we're definitely going to have some live events happening, and we will be posting as we go. And if, all the stuff with COVID isn't helping, so if you guys feel uncomfortable traveling, we're always going to have an option of joining us via Zoom. But yeah, all that information coming to you guys soon. I hope you guys enjoyed the stories. Pretty creepy. I agree with Brittany. We are not going to a mine or an opera house anytime soon. Specifically those in the story. But yeah, hope you guys had like a spooky day, spooky night. I don't know. What do you think, Brittany?
I hope you guys had a spooky night and a spooky day as well.
Especially day with all that light.
Thank you for joining, and we will see you guys for podcast number 16.
Yes. Peace out, spooky fam. Have a great night.